I had to do it, folks. MTG Friends here doing a Commander deck tech, and I just was feeling in the mood for some rat action. Marrow-Gnawer for 5/2/3 legendary creature, Rat Rogue. All rats have fear. You tap it, sacrifice a rat, put X/1/1 black rat creature tokens into play where X is the number of rats you control. This is pretty much, for the most part, a rat tribal deck. Let's dig into this because it's fun. Who doesn't like playing rats? All right, we got some packages to talk about. We got a little bit of sack mechanic going on. We got some ninjutsu action going on because ninjutsu rats is just hilarious and fun. We got some draw, lots and lots of draw. A bit of shenanigans, only one protection piece. A fair amount of ramp, some treasure going on. Land package is basically what you'd expect to see in mono black. We got just sort of rats that don't quite hit any other aspect of the rat thing. We got life gain and loss for your opponents, a few tutors, and some removal. So let's get into it, folks. Let's get into it. So you know what it does. You can sack rats to make rats. Yeah. All right, so let's start with draw because apparently that is what Architect is telling us we're gonna do. Black Market Connection. This one is at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase. Choose one or more for 3 mana, which is really great. This just came out as of this recording in the pre-con for the Arnis, I think. The black-white pre-con deck in Baldur's Gate. Pick one up because it's also got the awesome white gnome in there. Those 2 cards are just fabulous. Those are gonna, if they don't see reprints anytime soon, you're gonna see those go up in value. Yeah, buddy. All right, I do digress. So at your pre-combat main phase, just means as you enter your first main, you gotta choose whether you're doing these one or more. Create a treasure token, lose a life, draw a card, lose 2 lives, and create a 3/2 color shapeshifter creature token with changeling and you lose 3 life. So for a total of 3, 5, 6, total of 6 life early in the game, you can do all 3. Yes, please. Thank you very much. Then you can choose which of those you do later. Bolus's Citadel. We do have life gain in here, so we are going to drop some mad Citadel action on here. Most of you probably know what this is, but I'm going to read through it anyways. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You can play the top card of your library if you cast it this way. Pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than pay its mana cost. And tap, sack 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. I have actually seen people win games with that sack mechanic. All right, Deadly Dispute for draw as well. As an addition to cost to cast this spell, sacrifice an artifact or creature, draw 2 cards and create a treasure token. Boom, shalaka-laka at instant speed. Morbid Opportunist. I really like this for these sack mechanics. Whenever one or more other creatures die, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. So even on your opponent's turns, if a creature dies, even if it isn't your creature, you get to draw a card. Badass. This is a badass uncommon card. Loved drafting that card. Necropotence for 3. Skip your draw step. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard. That one's a little rough. So don't be playing lots of graveyard recursion if you're doing this. Anyways, it's in this deck for good reason. Pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library face down. Put that card into your hand at the beginning of your next end step. So you can do this during your opponent's turn, during your turn. Just keep that in mind. And then those go into your hand at the beginning of your next end step. Yes, there you have it. I have over-explained Necropotence. Night's Whisper for 2. You draw 2 cards and you lose 2 lives. Read the Bones. Scry 2, then draw 2. You lose 2. Sign in Blood. Target player draws 2 and loses 2. Species Specialist. As Species Specialist enters battlefield, choose a creature type. So rats in this particular instance. Very nice tribal card in black for your other decks. Whenever a creature of the chosen type dies, you may draw a card. So can't think of why you wouldn't want to, but if you're being milled, I suppose. Land package. We're going to blast through this. We are in mono black, so Agadeems. This is the one that on the other side we can bolt it in for 3 damage to have it come in untapped. Return from your graveyard to the battlefield any number of target creature cards that each have a different converted mana cost X or less. 3 plus the XXXXX. Yeah, you get it. Bajuka Bog, if we need to bring in a land that comes in tapped to get rid of someone's graveyard. Cabal Coffers for 2. Add black for each swamp you control. This is great. It's really gone down in price. Holy shnikes because of the reprint. Castle Lochthwain enters tapped unless you have a swamp, which we will. I mean, I can't imagine that not happening. You might play it turn 1, I guess. For 3, you can draw a card, then you lose life equal to the number of cards in your hand. Phyrexian Tower, because we do have some sack mechanics going on here. Sacrifice a creature, add 2 black to your mana pool. Rogue's Passage to try to get our ninjutsu type stuff going in without being blocked. Yes. And then we have a fair amount of swamps. 21. Woo. Just hiccuped. Sorry. Swarm Yard to regenerate you got a rat. So tap it, regenerate target rat. Takinuma Abandoned Mire. Channel 4, which that is not an actual spell. Channel actually just happens, so it can't be countered. So that's nice. Discard Takinuma Abandoned Mire, mill 3 cards, then return a creature or planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. This ability costs, don't forget this part, costs 1 less to activate for each legendary creature you control. I often forget that part of these Kamigawa cool legendary lands. Treasure Vault for XX tap sacrifice vault, create X treasure tokens. And we have some treasure shenanigans going on in here in this deck. Urborg makes all of our lands swamps in addition to other lands, as well as your opponents for that matter. War Room is great in mono colors. Tap for 3, 3 and tap. Pay life equal to the number of color identities, which is 1 in this instance, and to draw a card. Westvale Abbey. Oh, who doesn't love Westvale Abbey? We should, in theory, have a bunch of rats to sacrifice to this. For 5 tap, pay 1 life, put a 1/1 white and black human cleric creature token on the battlefield. We are definitely not going to be doing that. But for 5 tap, sacrifice 5 creatures, transform Westvale Abbey, then untap it into this bad boy right here. Legendary creature Demon, the Ormondal Profane Prince. Flying lifelink, indestructible, haste 9/7. We'll take it all week long, folks. All week long. Exquisite Blood, whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Exsanguinate, each opponent loses X life, you gain life equal to the life lost this way. So if you got 3 opponents, that means you get X times 3. Trace, yeah, buddy. In any mono deck, you should definitely be running Gary. Grey Merchant of Asphodel for 5. It's a 2/4. When it ETBs, you gain life equal to the number of black devotion. The black pips you got right over there. That was terrible. Sorry, folks. And then you get that much life based off of your opponent. So if you got 3 opponents, you get that times 3. Damn straight, yo. Kirk, son of Yawgmoth, 4. Phyrexian. Phyrexian can be paid with 2 life. It's got lifelink. For each black and a cost, you may pay 2 life rather than pay that mana. And whenever you cast a black spell, it gets +1/+1. And just remember, this can get out of hand so quickly. It's a lovely, lovely black spell, creature spell. Whip of Erebos in the life gain still. For 4 creatures you control have lifelink. And if that wasn't enough, for 4 tap, return target creature card from a graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, exiled at the beginning of the next end step. If it would leave the battlefield, exile instead of putting it anywhere else. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. Mostly it's the lifelink thing we got going on with that particular artifact. It is an artifact, isn't it? Yeah. No, enchantment. Enchantment and artifact? Legendary enchantment artifact. Huh, I never noticed that before. It's both. That's interesting. Zulaport Cutthroat. We know what this does. I'm going to read it anyways. Whenever Zulaport, Cutthroat, or another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. Alright, we're into ninjutsu. I love me some ninjutsu, and there's a few super cool rat ninjas that do some ninjutsu action. Ink Eyes, Servant of Oni for 6. It does cost 6, but a ninjutsu's in for 5. Ninjutsu just means if you have an unblocked attacker, you can pay the ninjutsu cost and replace them. Bounce the card back into your hand. You get it? You got it? Good. Servant of Oni deals combat damage to a player. You may put target creature card from that player's graveyard into play under your control. Hell yes. Hell yes. Yes, yes, yes. We'll take that. Nashi, Moon, Sage's Scion for 3. Ninjutsu for 4. Ninjutsu for 4. Yes. Whenever Nashi, Moon, Sage's Scion deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of each player's library until end of turn. You may play one of those cards. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than paying its mana cost. We'll take it, folks. Love them ninjutsu rats. Nezumi Prowler. It's a rat. It's a weak ninjutsu. I do recognize this. It's a 2 ninjutsu. When it enters the battlefield, target creature you control gains Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn. So it's in here because of the life link and the spot removal if we need it with that Death Touch surprise shizzle going on. Okiba Gang Shinobi for 5. 3/2 Ninjutsu 4. Whenever Okiba Gang Shinobi deals combat damage to a player, that player discards 2 cards. Ah, what an asshole common card that is. We'll take it. It's a rat. That's why it's in here. Throat Slitter, Rat Ninja. Ninja action, ninjutsu for 3. Whenever Throat Slitter deals combat damage to a player, destroy target non-black creature that player controls. I mean, you get it, right? You get it. Lightning Graves, equip 0. This is the one that gives Shroud, so we can't target our own creatures, but we don't really have much that's going to be targeting our creatures in this particular build. All right, we got some Rampalicious Ramp. Black Market for 5. Whenever a creature dies, put a charge counter on Black Market. At the beginning of your pre-combat, that just means your first main phase, add black for each charge counter on Black Market. Very, very nice. A very big staple in black. Bantu's Monument, another nice little staple in mono black. Black creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast a creature spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. We like it. Crypt Gas. This is where we make swamps tap for double. Whenever you tap a swamp for mana, add an additional to your mana pool. Culling the Weak. Sack a creature, add 4 black to your mana pool for 1. We like it. Dark Ritual. Yes. For 1, we get 3. Jet Medallion. All black spells cost 1 less. 1 less colorless. That is important. Magus of the Coffers, another one that for 2, tap, add black to your mana pool for each swamp you control. So it's a Cabal Coffers. It's a coffers in a coffer. It's a coffer that's a coffer. Yeah. Okay. Bloodline Pretender. It's a shapeshifter, so therefore it's a rat. Whenever another creature of the chosen type enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Bloodline Pretender. It's a rat. It's a rat, folks. Crypt Rats. All right, so we're digging deep here for some other rat category rats in this build. X Crypt Rat deals X damage to each creature and each player. Spend only black mana on X. I got through that one. I did. That one's a totally swappable card. If there's another ratter, a rat. If there's another rat you'd rather see in here. Drain Pipe Vermin. When it dies, you may pay black. If you do, target player discards a card. Grave Shifter. It's a shapeshifter, so therefore it's a rat. Whenever Grave Shifter enters the battlefield, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Maskwood Nexus, so great in terms of shenanigans. Creatures you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. None of that matters for this build. For 3, tap, create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with changeling. I suppose for the ones that aren't rats in this, it makes them rats, so you got the rat synergies. So yeah, I guess it is relevant. I misspoke, people. All right, this is one of those cool flip cards instead of flip this way, the old school flippy flip. Nazuma Grave Robber for 2. Remove target card in opponent's graveyard from the game if no cards are in that graveyard. Flip. Nazumi Grave Robber. Grave hate at its finest. At its finest. And then the flip is put target creature card in a graveyard into play under your control. Reading that upside down was more challenging than I would have expected. Org Slumlord for 5. Whenever another non-token creature dies, you may create a 1/1 black rat creature token. Rats you control have death touch. It's not a rat itself, but we like it. Pack Rat. Pack Rat's power and toughness are equal to the number of rats you control. For 3, discard a card, put a token onto the battlefield. That's a copy of Pack Rat. Pestilence Rats. Super weak card, but in a rat deck, we just got to have it. Pestilent Rat has power equal to the total number of rats in play, no matter who controls them. Okay, you can tell this is old. For example, as long as there are 2 other rats in play, Pestilence Rats has power and toughness 2/3. Just had to explain it because this is an old-ass card, people. Old-ass card. Piper of the Swarm. Rats you control have menace. For 2, tap, create a 1/1 black rat creature token. And the best part of this card, and the reason it's in here, is for 4, tap, sacrifice 3 rats, gain control of target creature. Yes. Swarm of Rats. Swarm of Rats power is equal to the number of rats you control. Removal. Damnation. Deadly Rollick. In case you don't know what Deadly Rollick is, if you have a commander, doesn't cost you anything, exile target creature. Dismember. 1 colorless, Phyrexian means you can pay the black, or you can pay 2 life per. Target creature gets -5 until end of turn to get rid of some of those really difficult, indestructible creatures that you just minus and wipe off the board. Malicious Affliction for 2. Morbid. Whenever you cast Malicious Affliction, if a creature died this turn, you may copy Malicious Affliction and may choose a new target for the copy. Destroy target non-black creature. I actually forgot this card even existed before I was putting this deck together, and I was like, ooh, I really like this card for mono black. Hopefully you're not playing a bunch of mono black opponents, because then that card is useless. Mutilate for 4. All creatures get -1 until end of turn for each swamp you control. Meat Hook Massacre. If you have it, run it. If you don't have to. You can totally swap this out. It just gives -X, which is nice spot or mass removal, depending on the situation. Enters with -X until end of the turn for whatever X was. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. And whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain 1 life. It's got it all, folks. It's got life gain, life loss, -Xing. Speaking of -X, as an addition to cast this spell, pay X life. All creatures get -X until end of turn. Yeah, buddy. All right, we got some sack mechanics in here because I just couldn't be having a commander that sacks rats to make rats not have some sack mechanic. Carrion Feeder, can't block, we don't care. Sacrifice creature, put a 1/1 counter on Carrion Feeder. And because of that, we're going to run Grave Pact to Dictate of Erebus. Flash for 5. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. Grave Pact. Same thing without Flash, but for 4. Whenever a creature you control dies, each other player sacrifices a creature. All right, a little more sack for the form of a Rat Shaman. For 1, sacrifice a creature, target player discards a card. Play this ability only in time you could play a sorcery. So if you got your sack mechanics out there and you're sacking a creature to then make the sack mechanic happen, to then make them discard a card, you see how this could get really out of hand really quickly, right? Perfect Storm kind of stuff. Ayara, First of Lochthwain, a 3-drop. Very, very solid mono black card, even in something other than a Rats deck. Whenever Ayara, First of Lochthwain, or another black creature enters the battlefield, that means not even casting it. So if a rat enters the ETBs under your control, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. And you can sack another black creature, draw a card. Oh, so gross. So gross. All right, Grave Betrayal. For 7, it costs 7, but that's okay. Whenever a creature you don't control dies, return it to the battlefield under your control with an additional 1/1 counter on it at the beginning of the next end step. That creature is a black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. Oh, we're in shenanigans now. That's right. Macaeus the Unhallowed, 3 black, black, black. Intimidate. I tend to put this card in like almost every mono black deck. It just ends up making the cut because it's so powerful. Whenever a human deals damage to you, destroy it. Boom. Other non-human creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Undying, which means if it dies, it comes back onto the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. Undying is super powerful. This is a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous card in black. Phyrexian Obliterator. Speaking of fabulous in mono black, this card just always ends up in black for me. If it's mono black for sure, because it does cost 4 black pips. Trample. Whenever a source deals damage to Phyrexian Obliterator, that source's controller sacrifices that many permanents. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Shenanigans card, yeah, but it's mostly a surprise for your opponent. It's got for 3 split second, just means nothing else can go on the stack until this resolves. Till end of turn, creature's target player controls. It's 1 player, so it's very specific. Until end of turn, creature target player controls loses all abilities and has base power and toughness 0/2. So if they do have like +1 counters on it, you're still gonna take that in the face or have to block that. But otherwise, it's just zeros them out, 0/2s, and they lose all their abilities. It's pretty nice. Pretty nice, especially if they're about to hit you for lethal and you can do some shenanigans, which is why it's in the shenanigans category. Sir Conrad the Grim. Whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim deals 1 damage to each opponent. And it's got the extra for 2. Each player mills a card. So this can be a game winner for you depending on the board state and depending on what you got going on. Especially if all of your like massive rats die or their die and the tokens do hit the graveyard before just going into oblivion. That's always something to keep in mind. Torment of Hailfire for a black mana sink. X black black. Repeat the following process X times. If you are not aware of what this card does, it does win games. Each opponent loses 3 life until that player sacrifices, unless that player sacrifices a non-land permanent or discards a card. So X can get real big at the end of the game. Tasty vittles. Alright, treasure. Destroy all creatures for each non-token creature destroyed this way. You create a tapped treasure token. It does cost 7. This is a totally swappable card. Grim Hireling. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, create 2 treasure tokens. Yeah, that's right. Now it's to a player, so if you're swinging at 3 different players and do damage to 3 different players, you get 6 treasure tokens. We like it. Pitiless Plunderer. Whenever another creature you control dies, create a treasure token. And of course, you probably already know this. You can crack the treasure for colorless mana. And the treasure shenanigans here is that we're running Revel of the Riches. Whenever a creature an opponent control dies, create a colorless treasure artifact token with sack it for color, blah, 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 for any color. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 10, just a mere 10 treasures, you win the game. Then Ruthless Techromancer, more treasure action. When it ETBs, you can sack another creature you control. If you do, create a number of treasure tokens equal to that creature's power. And for 3, you can sack X artifacts, return target creature card with power X or less from your graveyard. Can't be 0. So this is doing multiple things in this deck. It's doing the treasure shenanigans. It's also doing the sack mechanic. We like it. That's why it's in here. Door of Destiny is in here for some tribal action. I don't think we're running... yeah, I think this is the only thing we're running in here that's tribal, because Coat of Arms can backfire on you because it makes all creatures of the same type. So if you're running against elf tribal, suddenly you have a massive amount of large elves, or God forbid you're running against slivers or something. But Door of Destinies only does it for your creatures, which is why I really love Door of Destinies. It trumps stuff like Coat of Arms, for me anyways. As Door of Destiny enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. So this can be in any of your tribal-esque decks. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, put a charge counter on Door of Destinies. It's a cast mechanic, not ETBs. Creatures you control of the chosen type get 1/1 for each charge counter on Door of Destinies. Such a great card. Such a great card. All right, tutors. Search your library for a card. Put that card in your hand. Then shuffle your library. The OG Demonic Tutor. Ratcatcher. It's got fear. Okay, whatever. It's a 6-drop 4/4. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library for a rat card. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. Perfect. I mean, minus the ninjutsu rats, but they might not have a choice. They might not be able to block your ninjutsu rat that you go fetch, even though they know what it is. Vampiric. Instant speed. Go grab a card, put it on top at instant speed. Don't even think you have to show it. Then show it. Nope. Just lose 2 left. And then we hit the maybe board. Maybe boards are the ones I just felt didn't quite make the cut for this deck. All right, so we got Marrow-Gnawer. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this deck. It's going to surprise a lot of people when you play it. Mono black Marrow-Gnawer. They're going to think that you're just hitting them with a bunch of silly rats. But oh no, you're doing so much more. So much more. I mean, you know MTG Friends, we're not going to just give you a straight up tribal. We're going to have serious shenanigans and some hateful plays for your opponents. But we're all friends here, right? I mean, it's in the name. All right, thanks for tuning in. Check out the other stuff, and thanks for your support.